All right, hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. Yeah, this is an educational channel, and we check into great theories and concepts and discoveries that you're probably not familiar with, things that are a little difficult, difficult in terms of their inaccessibility. The powers that be don't want you to know these things, but also they can tend to be a little bit esoteric, uh, and a little bit emotionally jarring as well. You may have to question some of your deepest held beliefs, and but uh, this set of this channel is intended for truthers, people who are kind of already willing to question some of their deepest held beliefs, usually because they've questioned some of their not deepest held beliefs and found that they fell apart like a house of cards. And so they benefited from that. And so you're ready to go to the next level. Um, Now, unfortunately, this is a segment that's called the Q-tip of the spear, and this is for the truthers out there, especially the Q people. And I take a look at some of the podcasts that I've watched from such people over the last day or so, and just kind of talk about that. Um, but yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the digger truthers out there are kind of stuck in their digs. They uh, they're going laterally instead of deeper, and which is good because there's a lot of space that needs to be dug up laterally as well. But eventually, we're going to have to go deeper, and the lateral stuff is important for the info war. But in my opinion, the info war has been won, and it's over. It's just nothing can stop what is coming. It's um, it's over. It just hasn't become official yet. But the events have already been played out, and they need to be reenacted. And so we then need to move on to the next phase, and the next phase is getting our own house in order. A lot more red pilling. If you think that we're just going to march into the golden age as is, it's not going to work that way. Um, this is a whole new age, and the stuff from the old age isn't going to translate. We're going to have to be light on our feet and be willing to maybe start with some deep foundations, but after that, um, you know, it's going to be a lot of improvisation. And so a lot of learning on the fly, and you know, we've got the resources. We've learned how to do the digs. We've learned how to do research. We've learned how to be discerning, and we're ready to go. We just have to recognize that it's time to go because there's not really any need to be messing around with the info war anymore. Um, I mean, I pay attention to it. I'm still alive. I'm still like in the world and stuff, and so I pay attention to it. But you know, mentally, I'm trying to move on, um, at least partially. So anyway, now um, I watched a podcast today from my favorite guys out there, and uh, I uh, I feel like these are the tip of the spear, but still um, there needs to be some more red pilling because um, what I saw again is what I described maybe last week or earlier this week with the intrepid truthers, the ones that are digging on everything, and that the ones that are, protect your mind, control your emotions, and be discerning, and strive for truth above all else. But as soon as the words Jesus Christ, God, the Bible, all of these words put them into a little bit of a trance where they take down their guard, and they become um, not discerning, and they substitute in faith for truth seeking, and they they think that, well, somebody must have checked somebody must have checked this Bible already, and it's legit. Like, my friends told me it was legit. Nobody has talked about it, so it must be legit. I haven't really read it that carefully myself, but I'm just going to give it that deference because nobody's really talked about it. And unfortunately, that isn't the case. Uh, the New Testament of the Bible falls apart like a house of cards, just like everything else that you've investigated in the 20th century. It was a complete psyop. It was done by the Romans, the Caesars of the Flavian dynasty. It can be proven as such, both circumstantially and directly, especially if you read the work of Josephus, who most Christians believe is one of the secular writers who actually corroborates the existence of Jesus, because they cite Josephus without having read him. But if you read Josephus, you will see that he is very powerful evidence against the existence of Jesus, because uh, it becomes very clear with all of the parallels between Josephus's work, War of the Jews, and the New Testament, that they were written by the same people at the same time for the same reason. It was done as a psychological operation against the Jews by the Romans. It's right down their alley of their MOs. So I know, when you have events, you get gifts, you have things that are given to you and with heart, and you want to honor that. But at the same time, um, I think you would call it out under different circumstances. And so um, now I don't feel like everybody that was there really got into that trance. Um, as soon as the opportunity was there, the subject was changed, um, and we got back down to business. But there was about a 2-minute period there where um, one of the hosts was kind of in a position of just being respectful and not really so much in a trance, but the other was kind of in a trance, thinking that he's, this is what I want to be. I want to be a religious person. I want to be, and it doesn't need to be forced. I don't, and I'm not really saying that you are forcing it, but you're hoping it. But it doesn't stand up to the evidence. And so that's what you need to check out, is you need to really check out the evidence. And the evidence doesn't necessarily come from the Bible. It comes from books like about the Bible. You need to understand the context of the Bible as well as the words of the Bible. Um, and it's a complicated study. I would love to talk more about it on other people's shows and stuff, but you know, you can't, as a truther, you can't just give um, your discernment and your critical faculties away just when the incantation of Jesus Christ, God, or the Bible comes up. You still got to be circumspect and critical, because that is what you would do in order to, home in on the truth, as opposed to, a hope or a faith, because um, that's just not going to cut it. uh, you know. Um, and there's a lot of evidence, that yeah, Christian values are laudable in most cases, and there's a lot of good stuff in the Bible, especially in the New Testament. But that doesn't mean that it's not a psyop. It means that it's a limited hangout. It means that stuff is there to reel you in so that they can hit you with the poison pills, which is the outlandish stuff, the resurrection, the virgin birth, the dead bodies coming out of the graves at the resurrection, the ascension bodily, and um, you know, all that stuff, really to uh, convince you, especially the Jews, that the Jewish Messiah came, and he wasn't a military commander, but he was a prince of peace. And he taught you to be, deferential to the Roman authorities, and to bow down to the religious authorities, um, in the Roman Church eventually. And it ushered in, you know, 1,000 years of the Dark Ages, um, the feudal system, the Crusades, the Inquisition, the witch burnings, and the papacy. And so it's still going on. We're still in the middle of this psyop. And until somebody calls it out, and until some other people start recognizing that this is the truth, we're not going into any type of golden age or any, the golden age that we're going into will be the Flavian age, which is the dynasty of Caesars that created the Gospels in the first place. Flavian means golden. Okay. Thanks for tuning in to the Q-tip of the spear on this Wild Tangent channel. Like, share, subscribe, comment, contribute, and we will return tomorrow for a new episode. A couple more videos later on today, on other topics. Thanks for tuning in today. Have a great day.